Morning, Bitcoiners. I hope you're doing well. Pardon the tardiness. What are you going to do? All kinds of trouble getting set up this morning. But we're here. We're happy to be here because we're loving our life. Who could complain on a day like today? Here I am, Bitcoin Deb. Pardon the trouble. Pardon the trouble. I was always coming. I was drowning in minor issues this morning. My kid still is a little sick, so it has a couple extra steps in the morning. And then the coffee wasn't made, and I thought it was. I thought I had that, and then it wasn't, and then the file didn't show up, and then blah, 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 blah. You know the whole stupid deal. You know the deal. Doesn't look like YouTube is coming through yet, but it should come in any second now. There we go. Christine, always first. Nice to see you this morning, Christine. Bitcoin Deb, good morning. It's all Trump's fault, don't you know? Indeed. C. Berger, 17. Boom. Indeed. Booming. We're here. We're here. We're doing great. Looks like a lot of people are in the room. No troubles. Let me just make sure the X is going on, and then we'll get started. There we go. All kinds of people coming in. And we are indeed live. There we go. Yeah, no problem. I can see me checking my phone on X. Checking X on X. There you go. There you go. See, everything's great. Indeed, just as everyone has alluded, we had a beautiful sunrise today. I took a bit of a different angle because I wanted y'all to see it. It was a nice one. There it is. There it is. Came up super red. We like them this morning. Good morning, reporting in from Saskatchewan. Nice to see you, Dale. David, hello, YouTubers, indeed. The YouTubers are in the house. So, indeed, the sun came up. It was a regular, as predicted, sunrise. Quite beautiful. We're happy about it. And Bitcoin's running, everyone. We're doing great. Let's have a coffee. Talk about what's new. Now, as you know, the sun has Trump hair. It does. I didn't see that. That's a nice one, Bitcoin Dev. Yeah, that's a nice one. It's the Trump hair fade, isn't it? All right. So, as you know, we like to start every morning with Moscow time. We have our important weather report. The weather is becoming so much more dangerous. Let's see what's up. We've got some trouble here. Extreme heat is forcing political campaigns in Arizona and Nevada to adapt. All right. So people are trying to go out and campaign, but they can't because it's so hot in Nevada. Who would have known? Arizona as well. I mean, it's September. What's going on here? I thought, I was pretty sure the ski slopes in Nevada, and there are, by the way, you can ski near Vegas. There is an amazing ski hill not far away. So I was sure I could go at any time of the year and ski in Las Vegas. I thought it was now. What's going on here? They've got to wear ice vests to knock on doors. That's what's going on over in Nevada. They put on an ice vest. So, you just put on an ice vest and then you go do some canvassing, right? No problem at all. Easy, easy, easy. Where else is it hot? Uh-oh, Houston. Houston's hot. Could the U.S. experience an extreme heat wave with an extended blackout? It's an absolute certainty. I wonder if it's going to happen around the elections. That would be terrible. That would be terrible if we had an extreme heat and power outages. No way, right? It's an absolute certainty, right? Could the duo that could devastate Houston, brutal heat and power outages. It's happening in Houston, everybody. Houston. Okay, let's just take an inventory. Houston's hot. Arizona's hot. Nevada's hot. Oh my God, what do they all have in common? I can't believe it. It's unbelievable. The climate peril we overlook. So they're trying to tell us here in the New York Times, if you read the article, all right, this is not the sun hitting my screen and reflecting back. This is not a problem with my screen. This is the actual image. This is a solar halo, right? And the solar halo, right? So here in the New York Times, Nicholas Kristof letting us know the climate peril we overlook. The climate peril we overlook is the heat. If you read the article, it's the heat. We're never paying attention. It's just never, ever getting the attention it deserves. Could you believe the heat doesn't get the attention it deserves? I mean, like we talk about it, right? We just said Arizona, Nevada, Texas, but there's more. It needs more attention. We're not talking about the heat enough. People need to talk about the heat more, right? Because then you might just save someone's kidneys. All right. You got to talk about it more. It's at our own peril because warming climate is putting people at greater risk of kidney disease. This is according to the Open Society Foundation, supported by, some people say sponsored by George Soros. No. It's supported. They're just supporting. They're just helping. They're in it for you guys. The Open Society cares about you. Okay. They love you. And they're like, how can we fix people's kidneys? George Soros is sitting there. I know it. He's in Barbados and he's like, people have kidney trouble and we got to make sure it's not so hot, right? Because the researchers are finding heat-related illnesses could also contribute to heart disease and cognitive impairment. It's not just the kidneys, it's the heart, it's the brain. All of it's going to go to shit. It's not going to work if it stays this hot. You're not going to get anywhere. So, I mean, the New York Times saying, the climate peril we overlook, it's because everyone's overlooking it. There's no researchers out there trying to find out if you get kidney disease. Remember this summer when the refrigerators don't work, but they're also white privilege? Remember that? The refrigerators don't work, and then the cables, you need the heat cables, the wiring to make sure the New York subway works, because that doesn't work if it's too hot. But your kidneys are the same. It's just like wiring. It won't work. You're not going to be able to go anywhere. All right? Your kidneys are going to fail in these heat waves. They're going to fail. Open Society and George Soros, who love you, are helping you. They're letting you know, don't get kidney failure, but don't use an air conditioner either, okay? Because that's white privilege. So don't do those two things, okay? Because it's the worst. So we've also got, right, this is, you got to read these ones together. They both came out this weekend on the Los Angeles Times, all right? But they're really important. So you need to get your mind around it, okay? You need to get your mind around this. Ready? So Los Angeles Times this weekend. This is the most important thing that we could cover today, okay? Here they're saying it's almost shameful to want to have children. Almost shameful, right? Now, the reason it's almost shameful, according to the Los Angeles Times, you're going to see in a second, right? It's not quite shameful, right? It's not quite shameful because we need the kids, guys. It's not just to make sure humanity goes on. We need the kids because the Los Angeles Times telling us it's almost shameful to want to have children because of climate change and the selfishness, but also it's up to the kids. All right. So the Los Angeles Times letting us know that climate change is terrifying. These young people won't give up fighting it. So it's almost shameful to want them, but you kind of need them because it's up to them. All right. So it's not that simple. You can't just say, I don't want kids anymore because the world is burning. Who else is going to clean it? Who else is going to keep the temperature down? Who else is going to do all this stuff? Who else is going to help you when your kidneys fail and you have brain impairment and your heart doesn't work and you also can't use your refrigerator and the electricity doesn't work? Who's going to help you then? It's up to them. It's up to them, right? It's up to the kids. So it's almost shameful. These are two separate articles. They're not even related. They're just in the same newspaper, right? It's almost shameful, but it's less shameful because we need them. Okay, so now that you know, it's important. Oh, this one's good. Over in the EU, the EU. What's happening in the EU, right? EU. What's happening is von der Leyen says that we should reward those who serve our planet. That's a great idea, right? Von der Leyen floats nature credits. This is their new money. They got a new coin. The dollar not quite going very well. We're going to talk about today. And the euro in the EU, not so great, right? But they can get new money. Nature credits. I want some nature credits. Fuck this Bitcoin thing. Give me the nature credits. I want maximum nature credits, right? How do you get a nature credit? You don't fart. You hold your fart in, nature credit. You don't burp, nature credit, right? So we were hearing earlier, right, about the kidneys, right? So, you go out, right? You eat nothing but bugs, and you get some nature credits, and then your kidneys might still work, right? You're going to get better kidney work. So you got to keep thinking about those ways that you can earn the nature credits. She hasn't fleshed the whole thing out yet, but I'm sure it's going to be fine. And then we're going to incentivize stuff. And then I'm going to start stacking nature credits. Fuck this Bitcoin stuff. I'm going to put a link in the description for you to donate nature credits to me. right? So I want all your nature credits. I'm going to start stacking. This whole show is changing. It's going to be only inspired by people say the Satoshi white paper was great. They haven't read von der Leyen's nature credit report yet. Her paper on rewarding those who serve our planet is going to be lit. It's going to be the best. It's going to, your kidneys are going to feel better after reading it. Right? You're gonna feel so much better. And it's gonna stop the heating of the planet, which is perfect, right? Planet coins, Jose. Yeah, nature credits. That's what we need. We need nature credits. They're coming, guys. Nature credits are coming. Okay, I want nature credits. Fuck Bitcoin. So dumb, so stupid and old, boring, filled with men. White men everywhere I go. It's white men around, right? I know there's a lot of black guys in Bitcoin and a lot of Asian guys in Bitcoin and a lot of other people in Bitcoin, right? But honestly, nature credits are better, right? I'm going with the nature credits. Give me the nature credits. I want them. I want them. Now, you get the nature credits and you get all these people, that we could actually maybe even vote on nature credits one day, right? And you get the Kamala thing going on, and you get all the young people who got to get going, right? And the heat, though, you still got the heat and the trouble with the heat. Well, Bloomberg Energy letting us know more people in the US and Europe are experiencing floods, fires, and other climate disasters. They should mention the kidneys here, right? Kidney failure. But it's not generally changing how they vote. How dumb are these people? You're living through storms, you got kidney failure, and you shouldn't be using your refrigerator. And suddenly you're not even changing the way you vote. Come on, you got to help yourself a bit here, guys, right? Surviving a climate disaster isn't likely to change how you vote. What will change them? How can they change, right? Maybe this will help. We'll see. They're letting us know here that Kamala Harris sat down for her first interview. Yay, Kamala, she's doing great. Come on, Kamala. She did her first interview. It didn't go so well, but she's going to have another try later. So Kamala actually sat down for her first interview. It's so great, right? So, they said they would survive, just like in the last article, right? You can survive a natural disaster and still vote like an idiot, right? Still vote like a dum-dum, even though you survived. And now, right, it might change because Kamala sat down for an interview. So if natural disasters can't get you off your seat to vote, maybe Kamala's first interview will do it. I think she's on the right track. It's going to be awesome, right? What else is going on? Axios letting us know inside Harris's strategy for shaping her personal story. We all need a strategy for our personal story, right? People ask me, what's your Bitcoin story? They ask me that all the time when I do these Bitcoin shows. I'm going to have to change it now. I'm going to have to go with the nature credit story and say, I used to be a Bitcoiner, but now I'm into nature credits. But I would, it'd be a big part of my nature credit origin story. So it's really important. She's crafting her story. Everyone's got to craft their story. Nothing wrong with that. Way to go. Way to go. Now, you might have heard that Trump, right, got shot. Someone tried to shoot him again, right? What a loser. They're letting us know in the newspaper. I mean, he kind of had it coming, guys, right? Everyone's mentioning it today. MSNBC, Alex Witt, right, argues the Trump campaign needs to turn it down, right? Turn down the rhetoric. Right? If he doesn't turn down the rhetoric, he's going to get shot again. That's what they're saying, right? He's been shot for the second time in 3 times. Do you expect there to be calls within the Trump campaign to tone it down? Right? They're wondering, should Trump tone it down? Of course he should. Of course. Come on, it's his fault. People are shooting him. He's racist. What do you expect? Can't go around being racist, like Lester Holt saying the same thing. Today's apparent assassination attempt comes amid increasingly fierce rhetoric on the campaign trail. Mr. Trump, his running mate J.D. Vance, continue to make baseless claims about Haitian immigrants in Springfield, Ohio, resulting in bomb threats. So he's out there, causing all this shit, and then he wants us to be like sympathetic for him. No. They let us know on 60 Minutes last night on the TV, even though it was hours after he survived a second assassination attempt, they let us know here that he's a threat to democracy, okay? He's a threat to democracy. So he's got it coming, right? He's got it coming. And wouldn't you believe that old Trumpy is headed to Springfield this week, right? Trump plans to visit Springfield, Ohio, the site of his baseless claims about Haitian immigrants. Jeez. Wonder what kind of welcome he's going to have there, right? What else do we know? Michael Mann, he's a totally credible climate scientist, right? He's 100% totally credible. He's letting us know here that, Trump's going to Springfield, but Springfield, Trump, and the violent schizophrenia of the American dream. It's the violent schizophrenia. Michael Mann, completely credible, nothing incredulous about him, telling us that, right? And wouldn't you believe it gets even worse? It's not just that Trump is going to Springfield. It's not just that he's trying to promote his violent schizophrenia of the American dream. Guess what? This motherfucker's helping him. All right. It's not just Trump alone. He's got people helping him like Elon. And look what Elon's doing. A super PAC that Elon Musk helped create has ramped up spending on behalf of Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump in recent weeks, splashing out millions of dollars, primarily in swing states. Oh, gosh. Oh, my God. What is he doing? He's helping Trump. Oh, it gets worse. But you know why he's helping him? I figured it out. Scientific American has the actual, and Scientific American here letting us know Elon Musk owes his success to coming second and government handouts. Of course he does. He's not smart. He just gets government handouts. And there he is, like, whoops, I'm Elon Musk. Whoopsie daisy, right? So there you go. He's out there causing all this trouble. And he's giving the government handouts. He's trying to get people to vote, right? Trying to get people to vote. Well, guess what, Elon? It's not that simple, okay? Because even if you try and get people to vote, right? Even if you get them out there to vote with your super PAC and your rockets and your X and your white supremacy and all that other stuff, right? And your government handouts, that's why you're doing it, right? Well, guess what? You're going to have to wait. You're not going to get your stuff right away. You're going to have to wait because the New York Times says Harris or Trump, once again, election results could take a while, Elon. So no money's going to buy you a quick election result, okay? No, it's not going to happen. It's not like your rocket that goes on time. You do 10, 9, engineers like things that are timely. And then your rocket goes to space. And then people walk on the rocket higher than they've ever walked in space, more than any of them. And then the rocket lands, right? And you're used to things coming on time. Guess what? You're spending your money now on something that won't even happen on time. It's an election. It's not a rocket launch. All right. It's not the same thing. So there you go. Jeez Louise, Elon messing with our democracy, right? So there you go. That's our Moscow time for today. So indeed, the Trump shooting happened. And the thing about it all is a lot happened this weekend. It's not just the Trump shooting. And I've never been more optimistic than right now, actually. Looking at everything happening, what we're actually seeing is the full collapse of the bank-run world. The bank-run world, I've put it in a few infographics before, but here's one of my whiteboards that I like on the bank-run world, right? So you've got the I there, then you've got the communications and the mass media, the oil and energy, banking, and military. What we're going to talk about today is this actual weekend. This weekend, most of this stuff broke probably permanently. I don't think it can come back after this weekend. And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you what the hell happened. So first of all, I got to go back one. The most interesting thing that's happening right now in the assassination thing, who cares about the guy? We'll talk about him a bit, but you've all heard about him, right? Very sketchy situation. We'll talk a little bit about him, but the more important things are the following. First things first, and this is a lot about what we've talked about in the past few months about states' rights and states awakening to their own sovereignty, U.S. states, I mean. The Second World War put a mirage or something over the way we understand how America was built as a machine, as an engine, as a vehicle for statehood. And we've forgotten for a long time that we are a federal entity, a republic within a federal entity. And the federal entity means that the states are not subordinate. They're not the minor leagues to the federal government. The war machine of World War II and the consolidation of power in order to win the World War tricked us into believing that that was real, but it's not. It was just a construct created to win World War II. The frame we often use here for Bitcoin in general on the show is that World War II created a set of support pillars that the world was built on after. And I've made the analogy before that it was like an aircraft carrier. We basically left all the machinery running that we used to win World War II on. We never shut it off. and it's not really useful anymore. We just kept the engine going. We just kept adding stuff to it. We just left that big aircraft carrier going, and there it is. We don't even know what to do with it anymore. And so the world is changing, and the conflict that arises is the world has to adapt to the changes that are coming up from the ground. And one of those changes is a return to states' rights and state sovereignty, something that we've forgotten in the last era. Now, I've often made this narrative, right, that you can track the change that America goes through just with simple language. Before the Civil War, you'd have said the United States are, you would have given a plural to the United States, given them a plural because they were each independent of themselves and they were their own places. And so this states' rights thing ends up changing. After the Civil War, you started saying the United States is, right? So you went from plural to singular. Are, the United States are, you thought of them as a collection of individual places. And now suddenly, with what Abraham Lincoln did in the Civil War, you started to think of the American states as a unified thing. And after World War II, that changed again, where you started saying the federal government is, the federal government. It just even erased the concept of the states. That's why the Fed Reserve and the Fed this and the Fed that, everything became federal institutions, federal bureaucracy. Almost all of it created in the wake of, and then in the lead up to World War II and in the wake of World War II. So that whole polarity is something that I've argued for a long time is going to change. Texas is probably the most obvious example of it changing because Texas is already in open sedition against the federal government. Remember, that hasn't stopped. When Governor Abbott declared an invasion on the southern border and took control and sovereignty over the Mexican-Texas border, I don't think that ever gets reversed. I think Texas forever stays in control of their border. I predicted at the time when that happened that you'd see more crime in New Mexico and Arizona, for example. And I have friends in New Mexico and Arizona who have all said, yeah, because the traffic just got moved over. They couldn't enter through Texas anymore. But here's the most important thing that we saw from the assassination over the weekend, which is Governor Ron DeSantis. So this was not possible in the last attempt on Trump's life in Pennsylvania because you had a Democrat governor who just let the federal institutions go and run wild. And we still don't even know what the fuck's going on over in the assassination attempt in Philadelphia. We just got brand new news this week, which was that they deliberately kept people off the roof of the building in Pennsylvania where Trump was shot the first time. So, I mean, we hear kind of news like that all the time, so I'm not tracking it so closely, but it looks like the news we should have had, that was the one where we saw the Senator Blumenthal said Americans will be sick and disgusted with what they saw. Probably just incompetence. They're probably going with the incompetence story, just guessing, but I could be wrong. But this is different. Last time, like I said, you had to rely on federal agencies in order to get answers. What just happened here is DeSantis has declared this a crime scene for Florida state authorities. So the federales are not going to be able to fuck with the narrative this time as easily. So DeSantis says here, the state of Florida is conducting its own investigation regarding the attempted assassination at Trump Golf Club. The people deserve the truth about the would-be assassin and how he was able to get within 500 yards of the former president and current GOP nominee. Lots of people saying this is a big deal. DC Drano, Governor DeSantis announces Florida will be conducting its own investigation about the Trump assassination attempt. Nobody trusts the corrupt FBI. The FBI planted the pipe bombs on January 6th. That's why they can't solve the crime and lost evidence, destroyed it. They said no social media profile for first shooter, cover up. Now they want to do it again. Can't let them. DeSantis must deputize Eric Prince. Didn't need to do that in the end, but just what he's done here. I would love to see this privatized. I would, of course, love to see Eric Prince come in with a private investigation. That would be the best. But just look at the credibility of the FBI. This institution cannot go forward after this. It's garbage. And it's just another one of those federal institutions that are complete and total loser garbage pieces that can't be, simply cannot be moved into the future. So this is a big difference, right? We're starting to see the power of this bank-run world, this top-down world, losing important pillars. Just bang, gone. The FBI probably is never going to recover from any of this, no matter what happens in the election. It doesn't mean it's going to get accountability. No one is going to believe it, even if it persists and continues on into the future, right? So that thing's garbage. Now, let's move into the international relations of this. So that's just the FBI domestically that probably doesn't survive this, right? I don't think. And again, states' rights waking up. Remember what we've been talking about for a while? My prediction about what happens between now and the end of the year and where we go forward. My prediction is people get caught this time around, caught stealing elections, caught trying to kill people. It's nothing like 63 and 64 and 2020 and 2016. It's all different. Catching people is the name of the game now. And I think we're going to catch a lot. And we're already starting to see it, right? So look at they bring everyone in to talk about this guy immediately. And who are they? Who is it? They bring in James Clapper, Brennan, all the same people. Scott Adams saying here, know the players. They brought in the people who signed the 51 known Hunter Biden known Russian earmarks of propaganda, blah, blah, blah. They bring those people in, the least credible people. So this assassin now, with the Florida investigation, is starting to take entire strips off of the bank run world, right? So right away, of course, the Kremlin comes out and ties it to Ukraine. So this guy was a Ukrainian volunteer, and Laura Loomer shows a video of him with the Azov. So remember the connection from Azov to the January 6th stuff, which we've always said was probably there because remember, what's his name? Boneface or whatever, the guy with a tattoo on his face who didn't have it and then had it. We've seen a few characters that were definitely at January 6th, but are also definitely Ukrainian provocateurs. And so now we see this killer or this attempted assassin in one of the Azov battalion things. Laura Loomer here saying Azov battalion are Ukrainian Nazis. Remember the one I did, how to Nazi a Nazi? How to Nazi a Nazi? It's been going on like that for a while. As I exposed last year, they were recruiting members from Nazi organizations in Florida. With a recruiter tied to the CIA. This Nazi Ryan Ruth was a Biden-Harris supporter who called Trump a threat to democracy. And then you've also got the Kremlin saying there are Ukrainian connections here. You've had to have Zelensky come out of whatever he does with his life saying, oh, I'm against political violence. Don't do it. I love Trump. You're so credible, Zelensky. We all believe it. So again, we've got the FBI, federal institutions collapsing. We've got the credibility of everyone involved in the Hunter Biden thing, the media that spreads it, the whole Ukraine thing, the whole international war machine is going to be under scrutiny like never before because of this, right? Never before. And our ability to even talk about these things openly and without trying to piece things together is greatly enhanced by this. We can see the field very clearly because of things like this. When you see these people come out, when you see these actions being taken, when you understand the context, when you understand what's going on with Kamala and Joe Biden and the credibility of the elections and the and then at the same time you contrast that with the states waking up. Why would Florida or Texas or anyone want to be dragged in any further with these psychopath federal government people that don't even exist really beyond anything than just laws that were created in DC? They're not constitutionally protected. They were never in the design of the country. And here they are still around. So the trouble they've manifested in the world after long ago fulfilling their usefulness to the world after World War II, here they are, right? And now they're collapsing, which is why the bank run world is falling apart, right? We're seeing piece after piece. But it gets better, right? It gets better. Just like why would Florida or Texas want to be involved in the federal government and their troubles? Well, Saudi has been quietly stacking gold, it turns out, and they just found out today. So it's been going on for a while. The Saudis have joined other Asian countries in ditching their long-term sensitivity to the gold price. Evidence suggests the Saudi central bank has been covertly buying 160 tons of gold in Switzerland since early 2022, contributing to the current gold bull market. So again, this is a big change, right? And I think, of course, Bitcoin is going to stand to benefit from all this, but the gold argument and the Bitcoin argument at this level are very similar. And when you see Saudi taking an action like this, it's the same as Florida saying FBI is going to investigate because we don't trust the federal government anymore. So Saudi Arabia definitely changing. And this is a big part of how the oil system works, right? So let's just go back to the actual pillars here, right? We see communications, oil, banking, military, all of these are affected by this one story. This one story has all of these things churning and creating all kinds of trouble, right? It gets better though. It gets better. Go to another one with the media and its credibility. You had JD Vance this weekend basically destroy Dana Bash. Dana Bash is the person who did the other interview. So Kamala did do a sit-down interview this weekend. It couldn't have been worse. She did it with a local reporter. She sounded retarded, like actually retarded, Okay, and she can't do another one. That was the end of that. I can't imagine they'll ever let her do it again. She can't make simple answers. You can hear her swallowing because she's nervous. She knows she made it because she sucked cock and has no actual mental abilities, right? So that's what happens. I think she knows. She has a certain amount of demonstrable body language that shows that she has the what do we call it again? The what do you call it again when you're imposter syndrome, right? You could see a lot of imposter syndrome in just her basic body language. Now, I don't care about what she did with the sex and all the sucking guys off. That's fine. I don't give a shit. But she clearly didn't suck out any confidence. She doesn't have that. Okay. This is a very unconfident, incompetent person. And she can never do another interview. So Dana Bash here comes into the interview with JD Vance and he just pounds her in the face 100 times. She starts doing this like chicken head thing every time he refuses her context. She tries to blame him for the cat thing, right? And this was a big interview, right? Oilfield Rando here saying, I can't stop watching this. Dana Bash jerking her head around like a bird because her target didn't accept her narrative's premise. Vance rejects the premises, then attacks the premises. Just beautiful. Rachel Bovard. My favorite thing is that he answers her competently, intelligently, and with the weary, long-suffering patience of someone talking kindly but slowly to an idiot. Kyle Becker here. Dana, would you like to ask me the questions and let me answer or debate me on the topics? Notice that when you had Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, you gave them multiple choice answers. So she's done. Like, she was always done because she's dumb, but this is even worse, right? So it's getting more and more fun. So again, go back to the bank run thing. Communication is just getting completely obliterated this weekend, right? Just completely obliterated. Meanwhile, so I just mentioned the El Salvador thing, right? Or sorry, I just mentioned the Saudi Arabia thing. Well, El Salvador also with a plan, right? They're talking about going debt-free. The first Bitcoin country going to be debt-free in no time, right? The president announces that El Salvador would no longer acquire external debt to finance the next general budget of the nation, right? So they're not going to be subservient. This is about the same economic sovereignty that I'm mentioning for Florida, for Saudi Arabia. No one wants Dana Bash and Kamala Harris to be the ones deciding on their sovereignty from a national level. Right. So nations, much more powerful than individuals in the world as it is today, not going down this road, not going down this road. So you've got this tremendous example that Saudi and El Salvador are giving, and I don't think it's going to stop. Right. It gets better. It gets better. What about all these multinational agencies, the same ones that we know are scamming El Salvador, the NGOs, right? The same ones that we saw this weekend. What's his name? No opinion, but I don't remember his name all of a sudden. That guy talked about how the NGOs are the problem of all of San Francisco's troubles. So the no opinion guy talking about that. Now we see in Brazil, again, these agencies, right? Brazil's top judge lifted restrictions on the bank accounts of Elon Musk's Starlink and X after more than $3 million in fines were transferred. So it looks like Starlink is going to be operational again in Brazil. It looks like that was exactly what it looked like, a complete and total scam. Nobody cared, not real, fake, and weakened. Now let's move over to our friend Thierry Breton. What happened to Thierry? Thierry is finished. Thierry, you lose. Go get your transition. Go become a woman finally. I encourage you. Nothing wrong with that. So Thierry, the guy who wrote the thing against Elon, telling him, this is the one where I like to laugh. This is the one where Belgium tells people they must send plain text to Belgium. People don't send plain text to Belgium. Next. That's my favorite joke of the year, right? A Belgian man tells everyone in the world, you must send your plain text to Belgium. 2, nobody sends their plain text to Belgium. 3, so this is Thierry Breton going, they didn't send their plain text to Belgium. They did not send the plain text to Belgium. You were supposed to send the plain text to Belgium, and then I was going to look into it. Don't worry, I was going to look into the plain text, and then it was going to be fine. I was going to regulate you. And then I said, no, no plain text. It didn't come to Belgium. Nobody sent the plain text to Belgium. I've got to quit. I can't make it. I said, the Belgium, you didn't get the plain text. Right, so Thierry Breton resigns. He's done. He's done. They didn't send the plain text. They didn't do it. They didn't do it, guys. No plain text made it. It's over. So you had to quit, Thierry Breton. I would like to express my deepest gratitude to my colleagues in the college, the commission, services, MEPs, member states, and my team. Together, we have worked tirelessly to advance the ambitious EU agenda. It has been an honor and a privilege to serve the common European interest. Get the fuck out of here, you fucking loser. What a disgusting fucking person. And it gets better. It's not just that nobody sent the plain text to Belgium and he had to quit, right? It's not just that. We're getting more fun. Germany's got borders again. They do. Germany's got borders. But it's, of course, the far right, right? They're praising him. Just a second. So there you go. The Germany's gonna. Sorry, that was a kid asking for something. Germany reintroduces border checks to far right praise as EU tensions mount. So again, this is the sub-states, the trend of EU, the EU, and Thierry Breton, and post-national sovereignty of huge areas and all that. That's done. That's done. Germany is going to be the start. The EU is not going to make it. The only thing they had was the money, and the money is absolute garbage. The euro is going to be the first gone of all of these. It's just so stupid. So, and her nature fucking credits aren't going to be instituted either, right? So you've got the EU, and van der Leyen with her nature credits is not going to be able to keep this thing together. And so you're going to start to see more and more and more of this thing coming apart at the seams. And without Thierry Breton, what are they ever going to do, right? What are they going to do? But it gets even better than all of this. This is the good news. This is where the Bitcoin stuff is happening. So as I've said, we've got troubles with the broadcast media, absolutely garbage, done. And again, this Trump story and the new assassination attempt is going to focus a lot of the stuff in it. Remember, I'm not saying this is the one necessarily, but I told you we were going to get a smoking gun proof of deep corruption. It could have been in elections. It could be in Ukraine. There's so much out there with deep corruption that we're going to find a place to air it. This could be the story. We'll see. But nevertheless, we see the states' rights exploding as of this morning with what Florida is doing and what DeSantis is doing. I told you DeSantis was always going to have another role in this story, and he's a type of hero, right? I'm a DeSantis fan. I am. Didn't love his campaign. Didn't love the people he had on the campaign, but they had too much money and they hired retards. So that's okay. I forgive them. So what's going on now is you've got the international banking order changing, the international media order changing, war changing. The entire bank run world is falling apart. And that's why I made the comment about running Bitcoin creates a bank run on the bank run world, because that's what's going to happen. This thing isn't going to stay together. And this is the thing that's going to kill it. So Trump on, I think it was Friday, was in Las Vegas. Viva Las Vegas. And what did he say? He started talking about the freedom cities again. He started talking about a freedom city in particular, one that would be particularly devastating for fake news and the simulacrum that comes out of the fiat world, which is he was going to compete with Hollywood. His first freedom city that he's talking about is going to be in Vegas, and it's going to be a city of movie studios. And it turns out that Mark Wahlberg has been trying to do this for a while. I didn't know that. It turns out Trump announced last night that he intends to work with the state of Nevada to build new movie studios to rival Hollywood. Mark Wahlberg is on the same mission to bring new film studios to Nevada. This is pretty amazing. And if anyone is paying attention, you too can feel we're on the cusp of something amazing. Now, what did I tell you that we were the greatest business in the world going forward for Bitcoiners is going to be the Citadel tech. That Citadel tech is actually our main thrust to take over the world. We're doing great, but Citadel tech hasn't even fired up yet, and it's going to be number one. And I'll explain why it's going to be number one. So indeed, Trump was talking about that. But here's the best news about all that. Forget Vegas for a second, which is important. So it turns out that Larry Ellison, one of the richest people in America, one of the richest people in the world, right? I think he's usually in the top 5. If you don't know who Larry Ellison is, Oracle, he's behind most of the network architecture of the internet. And just as an example, now this is more to do with Steve Jobs' lifestyle. He didn't live like a rich person. He never locked his doors. He didn't even have a lock on his door at his house in Menlo Park in San Francisco or whatever, Silicon Valley. But when Steve Jobs was great friends with this guy, Larry Ellison, who had a yacht and all this kind of stuff out in San Francisco. And Steve Jobs' children used to say, are we going to go to our rich Uncle Larry's house? They used to call Larry Ellison their rich uncle because he just seemed much richer than their own dad, even though I don't even know if that was true at the end. But Larry Ellison, indeed, one of the richest people in America. And here's why all of that's important. So Oracle, of course, does a lot of the AI data center stuff too, right? AI data centers, very similar business model to Bitcoin, except you don't get the revenue of the Bitcoin that you mine. You just have to, you get, the fees that people charge to use your AI engine. So he now has an incredible appetite for electricity, and he's unfortunately based in California. So what he's doing now, and he got permission, is he's got permits to build 3 small modular nuclear reactors to run his data centers. Now, what I've been telling you for a long time is that Bitcoin mining is going to be the primary vehicle to finance all of these small modular nuclear reactors. AI data center is fine, right? That still works. And if you got someone like Larry Ellison, that makes all sense in the world. Why not, right? He can definitely finance this thing. He's definitely going to make money off it. I'm sure he's done the math. I'm sure he knows how to make money. So he's going to do great. But the important thing here is the private implementation of a nuclear reactor in order to run a private business. The only nuclear reactors we have until now have all been state-bought, state-run, state-owned, state operated, right? You're either a state government, a federal government. Otherwise, there's no private people going around America building nuclear reactors. That just doesn't happen, right? So having a private entity building the small modular nuclear reactors with a business model for AI that is identical to Bitcoin mining, which is the anchor tenant business model, right? So the anchor tenant of an AI data center is why you would build the nuclear power plants in the first place, because there's someone who's going to chew up all the electricity and pay for it. So the Bitcoin mining is a perfect example of this, with the added bonus that the person putting together the anchor tenant bid also gets the revenue from Bitcoin mining, the Bitcoin itself. So having this done the way it's being done, Oracle has secured the permits to build 3 small modular nuclear reactors to power its AI center. During its quarterly earnings call, the company said that it plans to use those tiny nuclear reactor plants for a planned AI data center with at least 1 gigawatt of capacity. And this is the same tech that's more or less been inside of nuclear submarines for a long time. So another example of how they're going to get that tech out of there, right? So what you're going to start to see is Citadel tech. And I'm telling you, one of Trump's 10 freedom cities is going to be a Bitcoin submission. There's going to be a Bitcoin Citadel built from all of this talk. And it's going to actually change the world. And you're going to get the formula you require and you need to destroy the bank-run world after that, right? Now that we have all these pieces in place, with a nuclear reactor, with our decentralized network, with our electricity and our humor, right? Running Bitcoin will make this whole system the ascendant power and worldview on Earth. And this thing here is just done. It's just going to be nature credits, sludge people getting their canola oil fried crickets, as many as they want. It's going to be unlimited. We're going to make sure they get abundant stuff. But what we're getting here is the actual collapse of Clown World, simultaneous to Citadel tech coming online. And we're going to be building these Citadels. So again, it doesn't really matter what happens to Clown World. We don't know how it's going to fall apart, but there you go. Larry Ellison's yacht in San Francisco is a miniature model of the Taj Mahal. Yeah, I believe that. Need one of those here in Puerto Rico. Yeah, you'll get one. They're coming everywhere, guys. Everywhere. These, once they figure out how to do them and private people can buy them, it's going to be nonstop everywhere. Thousands are coming. Most of them with a Bitcoin mine included. So you're going to see way more of it. So that's it, guys. We got an amazing bank failure and amazing rumor on the market is Bank of America is going down. What? On Market Street? Wow. Yeah, he looks like well, I don't know about MK Ultra. It doesn't need to be. He looks mentally ill, the shooter, right? He could be primed. He's just like it's the lottery. You just get people ready to be killing him and hating him, and eventually someone will step up. He looked a little dumb to me. I mean, I wouldn't, if I was picking agents in the field, I would not pick him. Too much attention. He's an attention seeker, and you don't want attention seekers in that business. That's the last thing you want, right? Bitcoin Dev, they're eating the dog. Songs are hilarious, aren't they? Aren't they the best? Yeah, something really happened. Something really happened. Earthquake, rich PR, wind, sun. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, but the SMRs are not much safer than uranium. Yeah, I don't think the SMRs are earthquake prone anyway because it's not the same deal. They're much smaller. And I think you can solve whatever trouble. So I don't think the earthquakes are as risky. Like California's full of earthquakes and you can run them. I mean, Japan's full of earthquakes and you can run them without any trouble. You just got to be careful of the tsunamis. But I don't think the earthquake stuff is a trouble for small nuclear reactors. I am not a nuclear engineer, by the way, so I don't know if any of that's true. But my impression is they've engineered out the trouble of earthquakes. Japan wouldn't have been able to embrace them the way they have, even in the last era, had they not engineered that away. And again, they have learned after Sendai and the Fukushima that you can't put them near the water. They learned that, okay? That's not going to be done again. There was no need. You need water, but you don't need to put them on the coast the way they did. They could have gone a little further. Yeah. Small footprint and easily mobile. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, you could put it in a pretty simple... what about the Coinbase? Yeah, I predicted this, and I said we'd be watching, and we'd catch them, and it would create a huge pump in price, and I think that's what's going to happen. I said we'd catch this, so we caught it, and it's not going to make it through the system. But yeah, I've been telling you BlackRock IOUs for a long time are a major problem. No, Daniel, the SMRs are not thorium. My understanding is they are still uranium. They might be pebble bed. I'm not sure if that's the case, but so it's not thorium is the Gen 4. I don't think anyone's ever. There's one Gen 4 in China, maybe. We don't have any Gen 4 in America. We have a Gen 3. I don't think we have a Gen 4. But the Gen 4 thorium in China is working, and they can power it down, right? I think that's the main component is thorium can be turned off, if I'm not mistaken. But what you have with the small modular are like munchkins at Dunkin' Donuts. You know the donut holes? So think of a sprinkled donut hole, and the actual donut part is the carbon. It's just something that can absorb the heat and temperature. And then they put little sprinkles of they didn't need the cooling like the uranium ones. Yeah, that's it. And then they put little sprinkles of uranium, like a tiny, not a rod anymore. It's not like when you do the traditional Gen 1, it's just rods that are hot and radioactive and they boil water. That's literally all of the nuclear tech that you need to know for the old generation. They put boiling hot rods that can never, ever, ever be turned off into water, and they boil the water. And that's what's coming out. It's just boiled water. And so my understanding is with pebble bed, which is an innovation on top of some of the smaller ones that were, I don't think they tell you all the secrets of what goes on in a military nuclear reactor, but my understanding is that the pebble bed design came out of that, which is these little balls that have tiny, tiny pieces, like not a big stick of uranium, just a fleck. And that fleck is enough still. And the point is, if anything happens, it burns into the ball that it's in and can't keep melting down forever. That's my general basic 10% of an understanding of the whole thing, right? How does lots of rum saline being sent around the world? Yeah, I don't know, but CB, I really don't know I just don't know the answers to any of this stuff. So I don't know if I can figure out any. We have massive reservoirs of fresh water underground. Yeah, that's probably true. You don't need fresh water for a nuclear reactor. You can use salt water. You can use the ocean. You can pump that. The nuclear reactor can pump it in, right? Like, I want to use them for desalination. I mean, that's primarily what I think is one of the main forces of small modular nuclear reactors is not for our air conditioning. It's going to be for water filtration and terraformation. Like, I think you use the small modular nuclear reactor to turn desert into green land, and that's your best bet. I think you're going to Mauritania. I think you're going to the whole Sahara coast. I don't think we're going to go way into the Sahara, but you start pumping up those Atlas Mountains, and all you got to do is have a nuclear reactor there, pump the water from the ocean up the mountain. By the time it gets to the top, it's fresh. The salt will have come out. You desalinate water by pumping it. It's not like some chemical magical process. You pump it through a filter and the salt comes out. So if you pump the water up a mountain, and by then just basic gravity will make the salt fall. If you put, reverse gold mining, basically, right? Little ledges, and it just goes up and the salt will stop after time. And then once it's the top of the mountain, you've got a gushing river, which you put down the mountain and let it flow into a huge reservoir at the bottom. You got some cows waiting for that water, and suddenly you've got an oasis. And so oases are coming throughout. We'll do them in America first. We'll do these small modular nuclear reactors in the same way that we can go over the Atlas Mountains. We'll go over the Sierra Madres and the mountains in California, and we'll just come into Arizona, and then it'll be beautiful, lush, green Arizona. Our best bets are either OTEC or some type of reactor. A sun will be good too, but you get a lot of clouds. I'm a big solar lover, guys. I'm not anti-solar by any stretch of the imagination. It just doesn't do terraformation and stuff like that. It's not that kind of a thing. We don't have the space. Yeah, but you can do, Jose, you could do, so on my island in Barbados, what we have already is a decentralized grid, in that anyone can feed into the grid and anyone can have their own systems. So it's very popular in Barbados to have your own solar, and then what happens is everybody else on the island, if you're not around or not using it, it's starting to get fed into the network. And we have enough electricity as a result. We do have one diesel generator on the island, but we use a lot of the feed-in solar, and it works fine. It's the feed-in that's important. We don't have a centralized energy distributor the way other islands do. We're all our own distributor. If we had better battery tech, for example, in Barbados, we would be an energy, giant in a not in an export way, but in our overall advancement of the design of our grid. People would come and be like, wow, we just don't have the batteries. But it's already pretty unique in that anyone can feed into the grid. The whole grid is built so that people can feed in and draw out, and that's pretty unique. And that is Citadel tech right there. Citadels are all going to be like that. Everyone's going to have their own solar and stuff like that too, because why not, right? Why would you have to be reliant on cabling from some central entity into your house? You should rather build it two ways, two directions. I want the centralized electricity too, but I also want my own that I don't necessarily need to feed into the grid, but I can use for myself. Feeding into the grid is just that economic case. Again, why you would do it is because you can sell the electricity. So a lot of people sign the deals in Ontario, and Ontario has it too. In Ontario, in Canada, they had to build it into a certain place, to certain places. Not everyone has the feed-in capacity. So the network is not designed for feed-in. They made exceptional cases. Whereas Barbados, you just turn your electricity on, you buy a solar panel, you can plug it into the network. You don't need like a bunch of stuff, right? So there you go. There you go, everyone. All right, guys. Thanks for coming. Thanks for coming, indeed. We are just a winning and a winning and a winning. These are great days. Who could complain? And we're going to be great. We're going to win. Couldn't be more optimistic than today. Let me see what people are saying. The whole golf course and everything's extremely Las Vegas. Yeah, these people are a joke. They are. John Cullen linked Ukraine to the first Trump assassination. I didn't know that. Daniel, when the Saudis start sacking stats, game over. Yeah, I think we're going to find out they already are. I believe that. I have no proof, just rumors. But I think they are. The second attempt on Trump has you wondering how bad the real polls are. Yeah, they're very bad. They're very bad. She's not doing well, guys. Don't listen to the fake news. She's got major. I mean, the interview this weekend was hilarious if you haven't seen it. But she's dumb. She's stupid. And that's not an easy place to be. She's good at memorizing 90-second things, but we are literally dealing with a super low IQ person here. And again, I normally say, IQ is not the problem. Information is not the problem. In her case, it's the problem. It's the problem. She has an IQ problem. She's dumb. You need, if you're going to go against Trump, what's his IQ? I mean, just guessing 160, it's that high. It's that high. As crazy as he is, it's that high. And he's in a very unique IQ position, as far as I can tell. I could be totally wrong, but he's a smart guy. So there you go. Soros is probably in St. Kitts and Nevis. Does he live there? He comes to Barbados mostly, I thought. Lance, I'm sorry to hear that, Lance. My kidneys were damaged by a damn pharmaceutical I took for decades, trying to rectify the problem with a herbal supplement. Good luck to you. Jose, his fridge doesn't have the good wires. You didn't get the good wires. Jose, come on. Jebby, what's up, fellow deplorables? Mark Mobius was once asked, what caused the rise of Asian tiger nations in the 90s? And he answered, air conditioning. I've been saying that for a long time. So here's the Citadel tech you guys aren't paying attention to. That's amazing. And it's what a lot of my stories are based on, my science fiction stories. It's in the same way that air conditioning, and I've been saying this for a long time, air conditioning made Texas 50 years before air conditioning made the Asian tigers. So that's totally true. The air conditioning is a big deal because it's debilitating. I mean, I've lived in the north of Asia in the summer, and it's awful as far as the heat and humidity go. I mean, it's like nothing you've ever experienced. Osaka in the summer, when it hits 100 or 100 and whatever, is unreal. Like so muggy, so sweaty. Korea, the whole summer is still hot now. I mean, really hot. And like Washington, D.C., Georgia weather. And that's the north. That's as good as it gets. So I've also been in Singapore in the summer and places like that. It's really debilitating. You can't go anywhere. If you don't have air conditioning, it makes the idea of doing anything and getting across town absolutely insane. And I love how unapologetic they are with the air conditioning. It's just on max. I love it. So now here's the Citadel tech thing that I love. It's in the same way that air conditioning made the South habitable and made the Asian tigers. Huge domed cities in the North, kind of like igloo style. And I believe they're going to come to Quebec first. I think we're going to have the first domed style, kind of like the Crystal Palace, what it used to be when you saw these original late 1900 glass and steel buildings for arboretums or greenhouses and that kind of stuff. You're going to see that, but at like a small city scale, and multiple ones. They're going to be just huge domes filled with warm air and maybe some geothermal energy there mixed in. But basically the Citadel tech, the domed ability to live in the northern climates throughout the year, is going to catch on and make big northern cities the way we made Houston and Dallas and the big hot cities. But it'll be played. Singapore is the first domed. They start this dome thing. They got domes everywhere. I visited all the domes in Singapore. I love them.
I've been a dome guy from the beginning. That's why, I grew up with the geodesic dome here. I've mentioned it before, the Buckminster Fuller Dome. I grew up just loving those. It's the same as the Epcot thing, the Epcot ball. That design, they've already started in Singapore, in this air-conditioned nation, making some of the most beautiful domes you've ever seen. There's a beautiful one in the airport. There's a few in the city. Like I said, I visited all of them, and it's my favorite thing to do in the world. I don't go to museums and like art gallery. I don't care about that shit. I never have. Fuck museums. They're boring. I go to bring my kids, like, art, children's museums and stuff. I'm not a big, like, I've been to the Louvre. I've been to all these places, but I'm not like, I got to go to the art gallery in fucking Florence. I don't care. But the domes, if there's a dome, I'm not missing it. I'm getting to see the big structure. I love them. And so I think what we have started in Singapore is going to come back to America in the form of Bitcoin Citadel tech. And we're going to build the North, because the North is better for the AI and the Bitcoin mines. You need the cold air too. So if you can create a reasonable facsimile of a warm climate in a dome, then you're not going to mind that it's cold out so much, and you'll be able to live there in the same way that air conditioning takes the sting out, right? Like the butterfly dome in Montreal, exactly like the butterfly dome in Montreal. Yes, Daniel, that's exactly it. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Minx Lambrata, it's exactly the same, right? When I lived in San Antonio, it was so hot you'd fall asleep when you got home and work from just when you sat down. Yeah. Even working outside a little in 100 plus wears you out fast. Absolutely. No, I'm in Korea when I lived there. Just going out to get dinner is tiring, like, because it's so hot. It's just so hot all the time. It goes away soon, right? In like a week, it becomes perfect. October in Korea is just the best weather. And then from now, they don't even get they get the perfect amount of winter. They have great weather other than the intense summer, which lasts really from July. Once the humidity starts, once the monsoons come, is when it's the humidity. It's not so much the heat, it's the humidity. And that begins, June, and it's not quite over. It's not quite over. When they had the Olympics, for example, in Seoul, they had to do it at the end of September because it's too hot to do. Too hot. Just like the World Cup, they move it up. They do it in like May to June, again, before the monsoons, because it's too much. All right, team, that's all I got for today. I hope everyone has a great day. It's gonna be awesome. We'll see y'all tomorrow. We're kicking butt, winning big time. Peace.